you so much.
They can give
All
me
right.
host rights as well. Thank you. Yeah.
All right, Williams, I'll be giving you co-host, right? So you can share the general slides. Oh, I'm no longer host. Madam Tessie, please, can you make Williams co-host? Oh, sorry about that, everyone. Just trying to. Madam Tessie, can you hear me? Please help make Williams co-host so he can share the slides. I'm no longer host. Okay, Jude, while she's trying to do, can we just go ahead? Let's not waste time. At least we are familiar with the flow, so we know what's next. So we'll just go ahead. So okay, I'm making Williams co-host now. All right.
Okay, yes. Okay, we'll do that then. So I'll just run through the order of events. So for today's session we have a power-packed lineup. We'll begin today's sessions with the moderators welcome, which I've just done. After which we have the safety brief, which should be handled by YP Oghenem Borie Macaulay, who should be followed by the opening remarks to be handled by the programs chair of SPU, engineer Elvis Duruji. After which I would go on to introduce our guest speaker for today and allow her to give a technical lecture. That's Madam Annabelle Umotuk. We believe that after this, there may be some questions that you would love to ask, and so we'll entertain a few questions, and then we'll go delve into the photography session, which should also be anchored by myself, and then we'll move to the presentation of certificates to be handled by Frances Achinike, after which we would have the awareness and upcoming events to be handled by Janet Adesujo. Then we would bring the event to a conclusion with the closing remarks from Patrick Akwagu. So that's like about what we have for the order of events. So very briefly, I would love to introduce to welcome Oganebro Macaulay to help us run through the safety brief that we have for today. So please pay attention. Thank you. Over to you, Macaulay.
Macaulay, are you on call?
Okay,
Okay.
it seems she's having issues with connection. So I will just run through the safety brief that we have. So as you can see, William is trying to get that displayed, but as in our tradition, our safety brief is usually around ensuring that we ensure that while we're having this session, we have like a very organized session. So please, if you are not speaking, ensure that you mute your microphone. And for this event, it's assumed that I'm the only speaker first of all, before any other person who is going to be given some certain responsibilities. So please mute your mic when not speaking. If you would love to speak, you can do that by signifying, raising up your hands, and then I would also introduce you to speak. There are chats, the box is open, and then you could be able to use that for your comments and questions when you have that, when you need, especially if you're in a facility where maybe still at work or in a production facility, wherever you may be, ensure that when you have your headphones plugged in, you can still hear the fire alarm just in case there's an emergency and you don't get trapped there. So be as alert and aware of your environment and ensure that you're also maintaining a good sitting position, a good sitting posture all through this meeting. And above all, remember to stay safe where you are. So thanks. That's like a safety brief that we have. So I would go on to introduce and welcome our programs chair, who has been here with us since the start of this meeting, Engineer Elvis Duruji, to give us the opening remarks. Welcome, sir, and thank you. Please go ahead, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon. Good evening, everyone. Confirm if you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear, sir.
Okay, excellent. All right, so on behalf of the section chair, I want to welcome and appreciate everyone who is on this call or platform. I want to say congratulations. You're being here. You are privileged. SP, it's always creating platforms like this, and I think I really want to appreciate the organizers. Um, that is the spirit of SP, always preparing the audience, preparing members, even and all critical stakeholders on the trend of activities that are taking place, where we're coming from, where we are, and the changes and dynamics that can impact on your businesses, on your ideas, and your future. So today's topic is quite promising because, again, it's telling us what before now we used to think about operational and technical efficiency, then the financial performance as key in deciding and making clear decisions on business and project. But over time, we begin to see environmental impact. We move from environmental impact to environmental accountabilities. And now we're talking about externalities, how your business externalities will be part of the cost of making decisions. So these are three poles today, and those are the concept of sustainability. So it's a huge opportunity for us. I want to really appreciate every one of us because tomorrow we might move from three folds to four. So when you don't participate in forums like this, you don't go to conferences, symposiums, and platform that SP is always creating, we will keep living in the past. So I want to thank and appreciate the organizers. Let's continue this good work. And even as we listen, hopefully we are going to be enriched at the end of today. So just take your time, pick your pen, your paper, listen attentively, and ask questions appropriately and very relevant questions. At the end of the day, you'll be rich for it. Thank you all, and God bless you all.
Thank you very much, Engineer Dioji, for setting the tone for today's session. Thank you for that. So we'll move on to the main part of the program, which is our technical presentation. So as being displayed, our speaker for today is no other person than Madam Annabel Umotuk, who is a sustainability specialist at Dangote Cement PLC. She will be about the next 20 to 30 minutes taking us on today's session. So I'm going to introduce her. Annabel Motok is a sustainability professional with experience in sustainability management in the manufacturing sector and sustainability consulting for financial institutions. She is a trained environmental manager with ISO 26000 and ISO 14001 certifications, and is a member of the Sustainability Professionals Institute of Nigeria, Spain. She has carried out various sustainability projects, including developing and implementing sustainability strategies, sustainability audits, implementation of sustainable waste management systems, developing decarbonization roadmaps, managing afforestation projects, conceptualizing and executing social impact projects, and scripting of sustainability reports using globally recognized standards. She has helped several organizations to direct their sustainability journey and targets, and she is a proponent of the school of thought that says that sustainability is a journey, not a one-size-fits-all exercise. She is passionate about the environment and spends her free time supporting causes geared towards environmental protection. We are glad to have her share her perspective with us today. Please join me in welcoming Madam Annabel Umotuk. Madam Annabel, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that introduction. I'll turn on my camera briefly so that you can see my face, but I might turn it off in the course of the presentation. Thank you very much, SP Warri chapter, for having me for this discussion. Sustainability is something I have been passionate about for a very long time, and I consider myself, I'd say, lucky or blessed to work in an area that I have, great passion for. So we're going to go into energy transition realities, and we will be looking at this from the African and Nigerian perspective. Please let me know when you can see my screen.
Yes.
Okay, great. So we'd look at the energy trilemma. We'd also look at African and Nigerian perspectives, like I said earlier. We'd look at operational and financial realities of transition, and then we'd also look at some strategies for transition. I think at this point, I'd say that all of the views you're going to hear are mine and mine alone. So I'm going to be speaking from what I know, what I have been fortunate enough to have practiced. So I hope we all get something from this. So starting with the energy trilemma. So we are basically trying to balance three priorities, and that is why it is called the trilemma. We need to develop sustainably. I believe we all know that, and we all agree about, and we all agree on that. So in developing sustainably, it means that we are committed to like limiting our emissions, and even before we limit our emissions, we need energy security. We need to know that, okay, these are the different sources of energy that are available to us, and they have to be reliable, they have to be affordable. Um, and yes, goes to affordability. We find that energy is not so, would I say, straightforward, especially for us in Nigeria, even more so for us, especially for us in Africa, even more so for us in Nigeria. And we'll get to, go really into that further down in slides. So trying to balance all of these, having energy security, while having energy security, you're trying to lower your emissions, and then you're also ensuring that this energy is affordable. It can be challenging. It is challenging for businesses, even for the businesses that you think have, mastered it. It is still a challenge because businesses are set up for profits. Let's not make any mistake about that. And anybody who sets up a business because they want to make money from this business. But at the same time, there are so many other considerations that have to be made in making this money. So sorry, trying to move to the next. Okay, yeah. So yeah, what are the things that drive this energy transition? Climate commitments. So we've heard about climate change. We've heard about the fact that sea levels are rising, weather patterns are changing. I'm sure we would have even noticed I can't speak to Warri, obviously. I'm in Lagos. And in January, we had one very funny episode of rain. That's not what we learned in school about the climate in Nigeria. We learned that rain starts in March. It rains from March till about November, and between November and March, we have what we call dry season. We didn't even have Harmattan last year. I don't know if you guys had it like over there, but we didn't even feel any tinge of coldness, between December and January. There was no Harmattan, but we had several episodes of heavy rain in January. So that just goes to show like how climate change is actually right at our doorstep. It's affecting weather patterns. We're seeing droughts in places that typically do not have droughts. We're seeing flooding. We're seeing just different things related to climate change. And in 2015, the Paris Climate Agreement was signed, and that was where the world agreed on paper that we would limit global emissions to 1.5 degrees centigrade. And because of that agreement, each country has something called a nationally determined contribution. So how are you going to contribute to that 1.5 degrees centigrade limit? Now, that means that every business within a country contributes to that NDC. That is like the indirect meaning of that. So there are climate commitments that need to be met. There's also the growth of renewable technologies. I would say not just renewable. Okay, so for this, we're going to focus on renewable technologies, but there's a growth of renewable technologies. There's wind, there's solar, there's geothermal energy, but you get to see that as the days go by or as the years go by, all of these technologies are actually improving. You know, what solar power was 10 years ago is not what it is now. You know, the would I say the equipment or the tools, you know, used in harnessing solar technology have improved greatly. Storage patterns has also improved. Then there's also the investor and ESG pressure. Investors are asking more questions than they used to ask. Investors don't just want to see your money anymore. They also want to see other things. And that is why we now track ESG. ESG means environmental, social, and governance indices. And that's part of my job description. But yeah, we track ESG performance, and investors want to see that because they now know that there are things that could hamper the money that could actually be tackled by the business. Then, of course, there's energy security concerns. I don't think I really need to explain this one to Nigerians because even right now, we're like in the thick of it. Electricity distribution has dropped significantly in the past week or 2 weeks. The cost of fuel has gone up significantly as well because of the crisis in the Middle East. So energy access, energy security is pretty shaky. And even when the electricity distribution is pretty good for us in Nigeria, it's still very erratic. So these are the things that are pushing us to say, you know what, we need to transit, or we need more reliable systems. We need energy security, basically. Now, for the African and Nigerian perspectives, by 2040, the demand for energy in Africa is projected to double. And we'll get to see that for the rising energy demands, sorry, give me a second. Okay, so for rising energy demands, we see things like population growth affecting energy demands. Currently, okay, there's population growth affecting energy demands. There's industrialization because Africa is still largely underdeveloped, and we still want to develop, of course. So there's industrialization. There's urbanization. People are moving from, the remote areas. They're moving from the rural areas and they're coming to the cities because they're looking for jobs. They're looking for money. They're looking for economic empowerment. So that puts more demand, on already existing resources. Industries, of course, want a steady source of energy. That puts more demand on existing infrastructure. And of course, like with more people, again, there is, more demand for energy. We have an energy access gap in Africa. Over or approximately 600 million Africans do not have access to electricity. And considering how developed the West, and I would say the East being like Asia, China, and co, considering how developed they are compared to Africa, it is really, really saddening. Of course, because 600 million Africans do not have access to electricity, it also means that there's a low per capita energy consumption. Those that have access are pretty few, and they're the ones consuming the energy, and it's not even enough for them. Then, of course, this now brings limited economic growth because there is no energy basically powering the activities that should bring economic growth to the continent. Now, when we look at Nigeria, Nigeria's situation is a paradox. And it is a paradox because we have large oil and gas reserves, meaning that we should have access to fossil fuels that, produce energy. But we are plagued with persistent electricity shortages, regardless of, all of these resources. We also have a widespread reliance on self-generation. So for the industries that currently operate in Nigeria, a lot of them, I do not want to say all of them, but a lot of them generate their own power. And that is basically because they know that the power system or electricity supply is erratic, like I had said before. So they've had to generate their own power. And even if we're not looking at like the industries, people also generate their own power. We have I'd call it a generator pandemic in Nigeria. Literally everybody has a generator because power is unreliable. So those are the energy realities in Africa and in Nigeria. So when we come to look at the operational and financial realities, for operational realities, this is just basically what I've been hammering on. Industries require a very large amount of energy, depending on their process, I would say, but they require a large amount of energy, larger than what can be provided by the national grid or by any national electric or energy provider. Industries also require 24/7 reliability, and this is basically because okay, so I'll give an example with the cement industry. For you to make cement, you would mine materials, have them crushed, send them to the kiln where it is pyro processed. So the kiln has to go up to 1,600, about between 1,100 and 1,600 degrees Celsius for the materials to make clinker. Now, the thing with that is you cannot afford to shut down frequently. And when you have limited access to energy, it leads to frequent shutdowns. It leads to frequent shutdowns, and it means that you end up spending more energy shutting down, and you spend more energy shutting down and restarting. That drives your energy bill or your energy costs really high. It also drives the cost of the product really, really high. So I'm just using cement as an example. There are many other processes that would require either boiling or heating or something else, and they really cannot afford to have erratic energy supplies. So 24/7 reliability for energy is something that is top priority to the industries. They need stable voltage, basically because unstable voltage could either ruin equipment. Supply has to be predictable as well, and equipment has to be protected. But then, if we now look into the finances, the financial realities. So, like I said, businesses are set up to make money. That is the primary goal of setting up a business. And for you to meet those energy needs for your business, investing in reliable, constant energy means that you have high upfront capital costs because it's not cheap. Generating your own power is not cheap. You have currency volatility. I think we can relate to that in Nigeria with the price of dollar, constantly fluctuating day in, day out. You have long payback periods. If you're able to access a facility, to finance your own power generation plants, that payback period is typically very, very long. And sometimes things could happen and you're not able to meet those payback periods. So these are the realities that companies have to think of, when considering energy transition. But it's not all bleak, here. It's not all, would I say, sad stories. There are strategies that, companies or industries can use to transit, basically from status quo or from non-renewable sources to renewable sources. Before I go into this, I would like to say that I like to be realistic. I'm from an oil-producing country. Nigeria has large reserves of petroleum and gas. And the honest truth is, we cannot abandon it and say we're going for solar wind, it would be, I think, irresponsible. Yes, fossil fuels, are responsible for emissions and all of that, but I strongly believe that real sustainable development involves using the resources at hand and looking to improve processes or processes, and balance keeping the planet and making use of those resources. So it's not just throwing one all out of the window. You have to find a way to balance both. We can definitely learn from the mistakes of our Western counterparts. They had, the industrialization era, they had the smog era. They've come through, they've gone through like a long journey, and they've gone through that long journey for us to look at that journey and chart our own course. And I believe that we can, using the resources that are available to us. So the first strategy I'll talk about is energy efficiency. So in terms of energy efficiency, you're basically looking at your process and you are identifying areas that consume a lot of energy, or areas that you could, would I say, for lack of a better word, harvest energy from. So for example, if part of your process requires heating and you need to direct that, or rather you need heat. Okay, if part of your process generates heat and another part requires heat, the part that generates heat can provide heat to the part that requires heat. Basically, it's a waste heat recovery system. So you identify areas where you are losing heat and try to channel that heat to areas that need heat. It reduces significantly your need for energy, because if you were to raise something, for example, from a 0 to 800, and you already have it at, let's say, 250, you would use less energy to raise it from 250 to 800 compared to 0 to 800. I don't know if you guys get me, but yeah, that is actually the thinking. And this is proven technology. It's something that already exists. Companies use it. Cement factories actually use it. Efficient motors. So a lot of processes, require the use of motors, and some of them are really not what they should be, or that they're not as efficient as they should be. And this is something that needs to be monitored, because the more efficient your motors are, obviously, the less energy they consume. So process optimization, constantly look through your process and identify areas that you could optimize. Identify areas where you could make changes that would actually, reduce your energy consumption. And then energy audits basically ties with process optimization. Look through your process, look through the resources available around you, and try to see how you can use all of that to like optimize your process and reduce, your energy consumption, or rather improve your energy efficiency. Then hybrid energy systems. This basically speaks to what I was saying, with us not abandoning petroleum and not abandoning, our oil and gas resources. We definitely can use renewable and non-renewable sources in a bid to promote, energy efficiency and also to aid our energy transition. So this would require the use of maybe solar plus fossil fuels, or wind energy plus fossil fuels. Find, what realistically works for you, because there are definitely areas where solar power would not be feasible. They do not get, like enough sunlight. There are places that wind energy would not be feasible. They do not get enough wind. There are places where, geothermal energy is reachable, or rather it's feasible, and then, you can rely on that, or hydropower. Look at what, renewable sources you have, look at the non-renewable sources you have, and see how you can, find that mix, find that balance. You'd definitely find out that your emissions would drop based on, depending on the mix that you've achieved, or the mix that you've used. and that definitely, would I say, helps with transitions, or with your energy transition, basically. Then phased decarbonization. Yes, we're trying to meet the Paris Climate Agreement, but it's not going to be instant. It cannot be instant. You can't just cut all of the emissions off. So you have to phase it. You have to do it in bits. When you improve efficiency, you're able to introduce renewables, then you're able to electrify some processes, and then you can deploy advanced technologies. Look through your process and identify places where efficiency can be improved, places where you could make, a swap. So for example, processes that require, I'll say, pyro processing. If coal, for example, is your major source of fuel, identify other sources of fuel that you could use for that pyro processing process, or rather the pyro processing part of your process. So if it's not coal, it could actually be waste. We have a waste problem in Africa, not just in Nigeria. In Africa, we have a waste problem. We have issues managing our waste. And the honest truth is that waste is actually a resource. You see other companies, or rather other countries, efficiently using that waste for different things. They're either using it in power plants to generate electricity, or they're using it in cement kilns, to make clinker. Waste is a resource. So introducing renewables, electrifying processes, deploying advanced technologies, finding substitutes, all of that, contributes to the goal. Then digital energy management, of course, smart grids, having energy monitoring systems, forecasting your demand. That is something that can be done with artificial intelligence, AI. Digital optimization tools. By the time you have, systems that help you monitor your energy, and help you forecast demand, it helps you, manage it, would I say, more efficiently. You're also able to make adjustments, reduce your emissions, and contribute to this energy transition that we are on. So with that, I would ask you for your questions, if you have any. Thank you very much. Do we have any questions?
Okay, so thank you very much, Madam Annabelle, for that. That was a very insightful one, and I'm definitely convinced that we have lots of questions, and then lots of persons must have learned a lot. You just hit the nail on the head there. So at this point, we open the floor for questions and comments. So if you're in a place where you would like to speak, you can signify by raising your hands virtually. Or if you would love to just send your questions, you can just put them in the chat box there. So enable our resource person pick the questions and also answer them. So we have a Q&A session for the next 10 minutes, if there's any. Okay, so are there any questions? Okay, yes. So Ogenefeju Kulaga, you can go ahead.
Okay, good evening. Please confirm you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Annabelle, for the presentation. So my question is in regards to the transition realities. I know most of the propagandas are more like move from fossil fuel to maybe alternative energies and the rest. And I also got the opportunity to see a clip from The Landman. Is a movie that still addresses the current realities of how we are so much pushing forward the energy transition without really thinking about the other side. So my own question is in terms of the policies, For example, now somebody who read petroleum engineering as a first degree might really want to change a course for a master's program because of the push, the industrial push, let's say it that way, the industrial push for the energy transition. Are we really going for transition or we are going for sustainability? That is just one question. Are we going for transition or we are going for sustainability? Because I've observed that there are so many arguments between the sustainability and the transition. So as individuals, are we going for transition or we are going for sustainability? As a country that is heavily reliable on crude oil, on most of the things that we refine, our petroleum byproducts, are we still going for transition or we are going for sustainability? And what is the real impact of choosing one over one? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Pedro. So I would say that we're going for both. And why I would say that we're going for both is that I don't think it is sustainable to ignore a resource that you have and chase something else. But at the same time, when you know the demerits or the dangers of that resource, it helps you to, would I say, be more practical or be more, would I say, flexible? Like you already know what could happen. So you kind of have an upper hand. That is how I look at it. So you're going for both, definitely. You'd have to incorporate the renewable technologies and all of that into whatever energy planning or programming that you're going to do. And I would say as petroleum engineers, this is an opportunity for you to be innovative. You have to, study the trends, see what is going on and adapt. Would I say that's basically life, adapt or die. You'd have noticed that a lot of oil companies no longer address themselves as oil companies. You start hearing things like Total Energy, BP Energy. I don't know if BP is still operating, but yeah, you'd see oil companies now calling themselves energy companies. Why is that? Because they know that everyone is well aware of the dangers of fossil fuel and they have to bring in, other considerations into their business model. It's not just fossil fuel anymore. It doesn't mean that, the fossil business is going to totally die but yeah, you have to work with the realities, and innovate, adapt, get other skills, look at other considerations, basically. Yes, you're a petroleum engineer, but how about you look at yourself as an energy, would I say, an energy engineer, if there's something like that? Yes. So it's not just the petroleum that you're looking at other things. You're very open to innovation, you're learning and you are adapting. That way you still fit in and you are not totally off chart. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, thank you very much. But I think it's still more of a deeper conversation, but it's good for me. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you too. Patrick.
Okay, thank you. Patrick, you can go ahead with your question.
All right. Good evening, Madam Annabelle. Good evening, everyone. So confirm you can hear me.
Yeah, loud and clear.
All right. So, thank you so much for the full session. Much appreciated. But I just have one question.
Okay.
Based on recent reports where electricity generation has actually dropped significantly, right? And in as much as there is a need for us to begin to look towards, solar as a source of power generation, we can't really deny the fact that to an extent it's actually capital intensive, right?
Yeah.
So based on your experience, right, how do you think, because for a nation to have, electricity generation, which is about 4,000 megawatts thereabout, still not enough for us, right? How do you think as a nation we can actually, solve this issue of, getting power from the national grid, right? Because of course we can begin to look towards much more sustainable sources, but the fact that they are highly intensive compared to, power generation from the grid, how can we really, let's say, stabilize electricity generation from, the national grid?
Okay,
I don't know if you get my
thank you
question.
for that. But sorry?
Yeah, I said, I don't know if you got my question.
Yeah, I did. And I'll try to answer it as much as I can. Um, so I would say that a major problem we have in Nigeria is that's the centralization of a lot of things. And even when we try to decentralize, when you dig deeper, you'd actually see that it is still very centralized. And because of our peculiarities and the way our country is, I honestly do not think having a central source of power is in our best interest. I strongly believe that there should be, or that power generation should be decentralized. It should be privatized. And, even in cases where people are, would I say, or for lack of a better phrase, people should be empowered to generate that electricity. What do I mean by that? You'd find that there are some places that have, would I say, mini grids, and they're able to have, better control over their power generation. They kind of contribute to the national grid, but we do not have enough of that. 4,000 megawatts is way too small for a country with almost 250 million people. It is literally a drop in the bucket. But at the same time, we can do better. Are there policies, that are helping independent power generators or independent power producers? How many independent power producers do we have in Nigeria? What investments, are being driven into the energy sector? Are you encouraging are you encouraging people to, bring in either renewable energy technologies or, even just set up power generating plants, even if they are using like the conventional fuels? How are you encouraging all of that? When the mobile phones, or rather when mobile phone networks were launched in Nigeria, I mean, we saw then Econet and then MTN come in, and they had a pretty much stable ground to launch, and slowly they rolled out communication towers all over Nigeria, and then we were able to slowly build our mobile network facilities, or rather infrastructure as we have today. Has the same thing been tried for power? And if it has, or if it hasn't, why? Or if it has, what were the challenges? How do we overcome, these challenges? But as we know with our country, a lot of things are not, I would say, straightforward because for as long as I've been Nigerian, we've been struggling with power. It has gotten worse, and worse with each year. And, people would say, oh, I know how to solve this problem. And then they get to be handed the opportunity to solve the problem. And next thing we start hearing, different stories. So on the surface, I do not think we are generating enough. And I do not think we're generating enough because we do not have enough generating stations or enough generating facilities. And we do not have enough generating facilities because the infrastructure or the enabling environment for people to go into, building all of that is really not, I'd say, encouraged. Because I know Nigerians, we are very enterprising. If it is encouraged, a lot of people will go into it and will definitely improve our energy reality. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, thank you very much.
Sorry. Yeah. I try raising my hand, so I don't know what's happening at my end here. if you allow me to just make one or two comments.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir,
you
you
can
can
go
go
ahead.
ahead, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. So, the first question around sustainability and transition, the way that question was posed, it appears to me as if those concepts are different and they are something you have to choose one or the other. So it brings the question of what is sustainability? What is energy transition? So sustainability to me, I was thinking it's something that can be applicable both in transition stage, even in renewable energy economy or eras, when we now finally transit to renewable energy stage, because you will be dealing with different sources of renewable energies. So sustainability, I think it's a word that cuts across both transition and a word that we even enter that era of renewables. Whether you are using solar, you are using hydro, geothermal, depending on which of them, the efficiency, the choice, and how, whether we like it or even in renewable energy, some of them will still have externalities and impact in one way, may not necessarily be hydrocarbon in nature. So the optimal use of these resources so might still have to bring in the word sustainability. So it's not as if transition, you have to choose between transition and sustainability. So but I think it may be, I'm not getting that question clearly, but I just feel like I just have to draw my attention that those words are actually the same, depending on, I mean, not necessarily they can work together, but they are not as if opposing each other. Thank you.
Yeah, you're actually right. So energy transition is a part of sustainability. Sustainability is basically the big picture. So in the layman's terms, sustainability is balancing people, planets, and profits. So for people, you're looking at the impact of a business or impact of something on the lives of people. Is it denying them of clean air or clean water? Is it polluting their land? That kind of thing. Then for planets, of course, you're looking at environmental considerations. How is the environment affected, by that activity? And then profits, of course, it basically means nothing is affecting making the money, or the money is not going into paying fines because you've harmed people or you've harmed the planet. So those are like the three pillars of sustainability or corporate sustainability as we know it. So energy transition actually falls right in the middle of sustainability. Why? Because there is the people aspects to it, which I really didn't touch on. I was focused on operational and financial. In transiting between non-renewable and then renewable sources, there is definitely going to be an impact on jobs, which she kind of touched on in her question. So, for example, if I'm just saying, if a company used to use hydropower, maybe the company was set up in the 60s and it used to use hydropower, and then they are now transiting to solar. And then maybe they had an engineer that joined them around the 80s, he's still working and he was, really, really good with hydro. Then bringing in solar and him not having the ability or capability to manage that solar power setup, it means that he's running out of a job. So that's somebody's life that is impacted by energy transition. So you have to be able to stay in the loop. You have to be able to get skills that keep you relevant. So yeah, it still boils down to you're not choosing between sustainability and the transition. They both go hand in hand. And it is important that you stay abreast of what is going on, keep yourself informed, keep yourself, I don't want to say employable, but harness skills or, gain skills that keep you relevant, keep you in the industry, just so that you are not, would I say, phased out, or you are not obsolete, for lack of a better word. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Madam Annabelle, for that. So, I have my own question to ask, just to add.
Okay.
So since we have a few minutes left for the Q&A section, so my question is, basically, like, as young professionals that we are, some persons definitely must have began considering, switching into maybe sustainability roles or trying to learn more, about sustainability. From your experience, like maybe like to guide them early career starters, are there any specific skills or maybe recommended ones that you would like to let us know for early career starters who are interested in sustainability sector? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for that question. I would not say that there are any particular rules. Okay, let me just give a synopsis of my own journey. Maybe that would help. I have a BSc in physics. So yeah, in school, I read applied physics electronics. And while I was doing my IT, so that's like the internship you do either year 3 or year 4, depending on the number of years you study. While I was doing my IT, I did my IT with someone who had an environmental management consultancy, and that was where I really got into environmental management and environmental audits. And by the time I went back to school, it literally became my focus, and I'm like, I just want to graduate and drop physics in my mind, drop physics and focus on environmental management. And I kind of did, because I went to IFE, I did a postgraduate diploma in environmental management. I started working in consulting, sustainability consulting. That was like my first job, actually. My first sustainability job, not my first job. I started with sustainability consulting. I was writing sustainability reports for banks. I was doing sustainability strategies for banks. Then I moved to manufacturing. I went to Nigerian Breweries. I was sustainability and CSR manager. And from Nigerian Breweries, I went to head sustainability in Dangote Cement PLC Ibeshe plant. I did that for almost 2 years. And they said I had done enough. They, being my boss, said I had done enough in the plant, and they moved me to the head office. So that is my journey in a few minutes. And there is no part of that journey that I would say I planned. But these are some things I would say I have picked up in the number of years that I've been here. So number one is you have to like what you're doing. You have to like what you're doing, because as a sustainability person, to a lot of people, you are the problem. You can't be telling operations that because their emissions are, too high, they should not produce. They have a goal that they're trying to meet. You want to protect the environment, they have a production goal. Of course, that ties to finance, because finance will want to know why you didn't produce as much as you produced, or rather, as much as you're supposed to produce. And next thing is the sustainability that is telling you that because maybe, for example, some tool is not working, we have to slow down. We are considering the environment, and we're considering profits. So yeah, you have to actually like what you do, because you'd get frustrated along the way. So don't mind that my explanation, it was like just an example. You have to know how to talk to people. And I'm saying this because as an engineer, I would figure, or that I would guess that you have processes that you are in charge of, and that is you own that process, basically. As a sustainability person, you hardly own anything. So I spoke about ESG data, environment, social, and governance data. If I want data on our water performance, I have to go to the environment team. If I want to know our gender diversity, I have to go to HR. If I want to know about policies, I have to either liaise with the GMD's office or the department that is developing that policy. So you now see how sustainability interacts with literally everyone in the business. So you have to know how to talk to people. You have to have it is called stakeholder engagement skills. So you have to, be able to engage your stakeholders to get what you want, to meet those goals. You have to be able to communicate whatever goals you have agreed on or set with the right people. So when you're communicating with management, you know how to communicate with management. When you're communicating with, your peers, which are your colleagues, fellow employees, know how to communicate with them, know how to translate those goals, to them. You have to know, you have to also know or have an interest for multiple things. And when I say multiple things, so for example, I already told you I have a BSc in physics, but I love writing. I'm a pretty good writer. So meaning that I can come up with proposals pretty quickly. I am somewhat good with people. So for the people skills, I had to work on it because I know a lot of people will not believe it. Even Paul that knows me will not believe it when I say this. I'm an introvert. When I go home, all I want to do is like just close my eye and just be by myself. And that is because I've spent my whole day talking to people or asking somebody about something. So yes, you have to have people skills. And if you don't have it, you have to build it. I would also say you have to have, for you engineers, I don't think this should be a problem. Great number skills, you need to know your numbers, you need to be able to analyze different scenarios. So CO2 went up. Why did CO2 go up? Is it that heat consumption increased? Did you use more fossil fuel as against maybe biomass? So you have to like be analytical. You should be able to understand cause and effect. If you can't understand cause and effect, you're not able to understand like what the problem is, and then maybe prefer solutions, or try to solve the problem that has come up. What else? That is literally all I can think of off the top of my head, basically. But most importantly, it is something that you have to like have an interest in it. Sustainability trends change very, very constantly. When I started started working in sustainability, CO2 wasn't that big of an issue. And that's just the honest truth. And this is like 8 years ago-ish. CO2 wasn't really that much of an issue. But now, CO2 is a very, very big problem. And even as at then, the Paris Agreement was already signed. But now it's like, everyone is looking at CO2 emissions and trying to reduce their CO2 emissions. Gender diversity, I would say, has kind of always been an issue, but it's more of a problem now-ish. A lot of women, know what they want their place at the table and all of that. There are different things that get to trend per time. You have to stay abreast with it. You have to know what other people are doing. You have to keep reading, keep yourself informed. For certifications, personally, I didn't start getting certified until I was about 5 years in. I would say the very first 5 to 6 years, I spent it like really learning and just really doing. And this is just me. Yours could be different, to be honest. I spent it learning and like really doing, and I really didn't dig into certifications until maybe like 5 to 6 years in. And I think it was because I realized that if I wanted, higher roles, I needed certifications. So yeah, that was why I started getting that. But the honest truth is you need to know your work, you need to like your work, you need to like people and relate with people, whatever their cadre, whatever level of stakeholders you are engaging, whether it's your communities, your fellow employees, management, regulatory bodies, because you get to talk to a wide range of stakeholders. And the honest truth is, I do not think personally that you have to leave what you're doing to go and do sustainability. Sustainability really touches everything. So just find how it interacts with what you do and see how you can improve on that. I think you can start from there as well. And then if you think it is what you really want, yeah, then dive deeper or dig deeper. So if you were lawyers, I would tell you, okay, start with developing sustainability policies. If in your research and in your development of those policies, you're seeing that, okay, this is what I'd like to do, yeah, expand into something else. Just slowly take it from your own point of view, and then grow into it, or deep your whole leg in, aside from dipping your feet. Yeah, you can now dip your whole leg in if it's something that you think you really like. I hope that makes sense though.
Yeah, sure. Thank you very much. That was quite rich, and I believe other persons here also must have learned a thing or two. So thank you so much for this wonderful presentation that you have given, and then for the questions also that you have given answers to. So just we can just virtually appreciate resource person who has done great justice to the topic for today. So I'm going to share my screen so that we can continue the session. We have a couple of more activities to share before we bring to a conclusion to this session. So sorry, let me share my screen. Give me a minute, please. Okay. Right. So we'll go on to the certificate of appreciation, where we present the SPYP certificate of application to resource person for today. This is to be handled by Frances Achinike. Over to you, Frances. Please go ahead.
Thank you so much, Jude. Please, can you hear me? Confirm you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
All right. So, standing on the existing protocols, it is my honor to present this certificate of appreciation to you, Miss Annabelle Umar Etuk, for being such a wonderful facilitator and for pouring generously into us. So, on behalf of the section chair and the YP chair of SP Worry, we hope that you do us the honor of gracing order of our lectures whenever we call. Thank you so much. Over to you, Jude.
Yes, sorry, thank you. Sorry, please, I'm just trying to fix this glitch on my screen. I'm trying to share. It looks like I'm sharing the wrong screen. So a minute there.
Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, so thank you so much, Madam Annabelle. Sorry about this technical glitches that we had. Somehow sharing the wrong screen. So thank you for being present, and once again, just adding to Francis's appreciation from all of us at Worry Section 104. So on to the next agenda, we would now have our photography session. Please turn on your cameras if you are in an environment that enables you to do so, so that we can see your beautiful faces and capture these moments. Please, someone should help us to maybe Paul, if you can, or Francis, please just help us to take a snapshot of this while we take this photograph session. Please turn on your cameras if you are able to, so that we can see your beautiful faces. So you can just say when I say SP, just go with solutions, people, and energy. So SP, solutions, people, energy. Thank you. Paul, please confirm that you got that, because somehow I'm not able to, my system is acting up. I'm not able to get that snapshot. So let's hope Paul got that, or another person on the call.
Sorry, I didn't get that because I'm not joining with my, but I'll try to just take that with my phone if Francis cannot. I'm not currently joining my system. So can we just take that again? Let me try to get a few pictures.
Okay, so please just everyone once again, sorry about that. Just turn on your cameras again for a moment there.
All right. We're good. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, so back to our agenda. So To introduce us to to anchor the next session of today's event is Janet Adesujo, who will be taking us on the SPE awareness and other upcoming events that we'll have lined up for the months. So over to you, Janet. Please go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. I hope you can all hear me. Hello?
We can hear you. We can hear you, Janet.
Can you hear me, please?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much. Thank you to Amojeso and also our speaker for the great insight she shared with us today. I'm Janet Additional, taking a few minutes to share some awareness about the SPE and also highlight some exciting upcoming events that you may want to be part of. For everyone here, I know we are all familiar with SPE, and if you aren't, it's a professional organization that brings together students, young professionals, and industry experts in the oil and gas and energy sector. And the goal of this SPE is to create a community where people can learn, share knowledge, and grow professional, and also connect with others in the industry. One of the easiest ways to be part of this community is by becoming an SPE member. Membership comes with several benefits. As a member, you can get access to internship and career information, mentorship opportunities from experienced industry professionals, scholarships, training programs, and a wide range of technical resources that can support your academic and also your professional development. Another great benefit of being a member in SPE is networking. Through SPE, you can get a chance to connect with professionals and other students, not just locally, but also internationally. And these connections can be valuable as you progress in your career within the energy industry. So if you are not yet a member, we strongly encourage you to join today. You can simply scan the QR code on the screen to register. And if you're already a member, you can renew your membership so that you can enjoy all these opportunities. Now we are moving on to some upcoming events organized by the SPE Wobby Session 104. There's a technical and career lecture scheduled for Thursday, March 19th, 2026. The topic of this session is From Wellhead to Exports, Optimizing Oil and Gas Production Operations. This lecture will provide useful insight in the oil and gas production process and will be very beneficial for students interested in the technical side of the industry. We also have a major event coming up, which is the Students Technical Symposium and Exhibition STSE 2026. This event is a physical event which will take place at the Petroleum Training Institute, that is PTI, from March 25th all through to March 28th, 2026. The theme for this year's symposium is Empowering Future Energy Leaders, Collaboration, Innovation, and Resilience in a Changing World. This event will bring together students, professionals, and industry experts to discuss ideas, to share innovations, and also to explore solutions to challenges in the energy industry. It's a very, very great opportunity for learning, networking, and also gain exposure to the professional world. Beyond technical knowledge, SPE also encourages leadership and personal development. Currently, there's a leadership book review series that is ongoing, and this book series is titled We Are All Leaders. Leadership is not a position, it is a mindset. And the author of this book is Frederick Ananda. The idea behind this initiative is to remind us that leadership is not just about titles or position, it's about mindset, influence, and the ability to make positive impact wherever we find ourselves. The reading period runs from March 9th, that's right, from March 9th of this month, this year, all through March 31st. And all participants are encouraged to read along and share insights from the book. There are different chapters and leadership concepts and pages, yes, for each day. All these programs are designed to help students and also young professionals grow technically, professionally, and also personally. So once again, if you are not yet a member of SPE, please feel free to scan the QR code feel free to scan the QR code, yes, to start the application process. And if you are already a member, you can also renew your membership, so I can actually participate in the upcoming events. Thank you very much for your time, and I look forward to seeing many of you during these activities. Thank you very much. Moderator, over to you.
Thank you, Janet, for handling that. So as we gradually wrap up the session, I will now invite Patrick Akwagu to deliver the closing remarks. Over to you, Patrick. The floor is yours.
All right, thank you, Jude. Good evening, everyone. Please confirm you can hear me.
Confirm we can hear you.
Okay. So before we conclude, I want to use this medium to appreciate everyone, every participant for still being here till this time, and especially appreciate our facilitator, Madam Annabelle. Thank you very much for the insightful session. I mean, I learned a lot, especially the the three trilemmas: sustainability, energy security, and affordability. Right, and it's important for us as energy engineers to be strategically positioned when it comes to sustainability trends. Right, we should begin to look for how we can contribute in our own various little ways, whether in our industry or wherever we find ourselves. Right, so it's just important for us to be aware and be actually informed about what's going on in areas of energy transition as well as sustainability. So thank you very much once again for the insightful session. And to every participant, thank you for your active participation. And we look forward to more insightful sessions as this. So enjoy the rest of your evening and take care. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Patrick. So with that, we've come to the end of today's session. So once again, just adding to Patrick's voice on behalf of SP Warrior Section 104, I'd like to thank the speaker and every one of us who has joined us today. We truly appreciate your time and then your commitments to this. Have a wonderful evening, and we hope that we see you in our next series of lectures that we have lined up. Here is the chapter activities and other physical activities also. Thank you all. So remember to follow us on our social media platforms. It's SP Warrior Section 104 on Facebook. On Instagram is SP Section 104. On LinkedIn is SP Warriors Nigeria Section. Please follow us. Thanks so much and enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you, everyone. Good night.